Good evening and welcome to Poland Daily. I'm Natalia Moczulska, and this is the news. It's been a year since the Homeland Defense Act came into force. Earlier today, the President of Law and Justice and the Polish Deputy Prime Minister, Minister of National Defense, presented the extent of the changes in national security that have taken place during this time. The number of soldiers and defense spending in Poland have increased under the new law. There are already more than 110,000 professional soldiers in Poland. By 2035, there will be about 300,000. Last year, more than 13,500 soldiers joined the Polish army. This is the most since the abolition of compulsory military service. Changes in the security system are necessary, especially in view of the Russian invasion of Ukraine.
Musimy być gotowi.
We must be ready. Today, we do not know how the war in Ukraine will end. There are indications that it may end with some compromise rather than a final settlement. And unfortunately, this will mean that new dangers may come soon. This year, the Defense Ministry's expenditures will amount to almost 97 billion zloty, and with the inclusion of the Armed Forces Support Fund, could exceed as much as 130 billion zloty, or 4% of GDP. Within 2 years, if only we'll be able to continue our political mission, the Polish army will become the largest land army in Europe within the North Atlantic Alliance, of course. Armored, mechanized, and anti-aircraft troops will be modernized. Among other things, the purchase of modern tanks and anti-missile systems is also planned. We have also introduced elements of funding from, for example, the European Union, because as you are aware, these EU mechanisms also give donor countries that help Ukraine the possibility of refinancing or refunding at least some small slice of the cost incurred. And indeed, we have created such a mechanism so that these funds can be absorbed from funds coming from the European Union budget. An important element of our defense strategy is the development of a modern air fleet. We are awaiting deliveries of FA-50 aircraft from Korea. Here we are talking about 48 aircraft deliveries, of which are expected to begin as early as this year. Also, we are waiting for the start of deliveries of F-35 Lightning II aircraft, which in turn we ordered from the United States, as we look and hear from the representatives of the Defense Ministry, but also from the highest state authorities. It is still not enough, as it is clear that Poland wants to have 10 squadrons of combat aircraft, so as you can easily count, we need 160. Following the start of the war in Ukraine, demand for artillery ammunition has increased across Europe. The government plans to allocate 2 billion zloty to expand the ammunition production system. Poland specializes in the production of 155mm caliber shells, so badly needed in Ukraine today. Many types of equipment the Polish armed forces donated to the Ukrainians. There is a shortage of tanks because we donated gigantic amounts, and Poland was the largest donor of tanks. We have donated aircraft, we donated artillery, ammunition, and these shortages need to be filled in the coming years. This year, Poland will become the leader in terms of defense spending among NATO members in relation to GDP. Each member of the alliance is required to spend 2% of GDP on the military. Last year, only 7 out of 30 countries maintained defense spending at that level. What we are talking about is becoming a kind of showcase for Poland in the international arena. These are activities that build the Polish trademark for a long time and show the special qualities, abilities, and special organizational potential of the Polish state and society. This is something that has been undermined over the years. Poland is gradually improving not only its own security, but that of the entire region of Central and Eastern Europe, as evidenced by the establishment of the U.S. Army permanent garrison in Poland, that is the command of U.S. ground forces on NATO's eastern flank. Chinese ambassador to France, Liu She, sparked widespread outrage and a diplomatic scandal after he questioned the sovereignty of Ukraine and other former Soviet countries in the latest interview. In an interview with French news television station LCI, Ambassador Liu She was asked about China's opinion on the status of Crimea, which Russia annexed in 2014. The Chinese ambassador responded that the question of the peninsula's status is not clear, and that countries like Ukraine cannot rely on international law to defend their sovereignty. Please answer me precisely. Is Crimea Ukrainian? It depends. No, Ukrainian or not. It depends on how you look at the problem. Let's remember history. Crimea was Russian and was offered to Ukraine by Khrushchev. The countries of the former Soviet Union have no effective status under international law because there is no international agreement that concretizes their status as sovereign countries. The comments by the Chinese ambassador to France sparked widespread outrage, causing the diplomats to be summoned to Beijing to explain the incident. Today, Chinese Foreign Ministry spokeswoman Mao Ning strongly rejected the ambassador's position. The Soviet Union was a federal state and had the status of a subject of international law entirely in foreign affairs. This does not deny the fact that every member republic of the Soviet Union has the status of a sovereign state after the collapse of the Soviet Union. China respects the sovereignty, independence, and territorial integrity of all countries and upholds the purposes and principles of the United Nations Charter. The three Baltic states of Lithuania, Latvia, and Estonia are demanding an explanation.
Well, first of all, it's completely unacceptable. Later today, three Baltic states will be summoning representatives, in our case the Charge d'Affaires, in other capitals is the ambassador, to ask for clarification.
Other European Union foreign ministers condemned the remarks and discussed them at today's meeting. Ukrainian presidential advisor Mikhailo Podolyak also questioned Liu's interpretation of international law and described his approach to Crimea as absurd. Leaders from European countries surrounding the North Sea are set to pledge to expand renewable generation in the region to strengthen energy security at a summit in Ostend, Belgium, held earlier today. 7 European Union countries, including France, Germany, and the Netherlands, alongside non-EU countries, Norway, and the United Kingdom, will commit to build wind farms rapidly, develop energy islands, or connected renewable generation sites at sea, and work on carbon capture and renewable hydrogen projects in the region. The aim is to curb reliance on Russian gas and reduce use of CO2-emitting fossil fuels, which remain dominant. Norway last year became Europe's biggest gas supplier after Russia cut deliveries to Europe following its invasion of Ukraine. A draft of the leaders' summit declaration seen by Reuters said the 9 countries aimed for a combined 120 gigawatts of North Sea offshore wind capacity by 2030 and 300 gigawatts by 2050, more than quadrupling the current 25 gigawatts. Belgium, Denmark, Ireland, and Luxembourg are also set to sign the pledge, while clusters of countries will announce projects to spur the green energy push, which will require bigger investments than countries and companies have planned. The Netherlands and Great Britain said on Monday that they plan to build Europe's biggest cross-border electricity link connected to an offshore wind farm. European companies, however, including Ørsted and Equinor, said on Monday that their sector was too small to support the infrastructure expansion, and increased policy support and funding would be needed to deliver the targets. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. Please stay tuned for Poland Daily Weather, Poland Daily Business, and some of our other programs. But for me, have a wonderful evening.